back on the podcast trail here at If You Be Your Will. We are reaching to north central United States, and we have Jason coming in from Red Pants. An outstanding basement rock, noise rock. So many influences, 90s is in there, and it's just so. Jason, I'm just really stoked to have you here today. I have so many things I want to talk to you about.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. Super pumped. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome, Jason. Yeah. So, Jason, I always love this backstory time. It's kind of like, okay, let's gather around. Let's hear about how it all started for you. What are your kind of like earliest recollections of either being inspired by music, music in the house with your parents growing up? Like, where does your music story begin?
Well, I don't know. Our family wasn't musical at all, and I really didn't pick up an instrument until I was around 20, 21. I was kind of an avid fan and listener from like my teenage years, mid-teens through that time. And I don't know. At some point, I just thought like, oh, maybe I could try this. I was into like a lot of sort of DIY, lo-fi 90s rock, which I think it sort of shines through in the sound of the music that I make now. But so at some point, I was like, maybe I could do this. And I talked some friends into forming a band. I was like a big REM fan, so I just I thought I could be just like a lead singer like Michael Stipe. But it's pretty quickly I realized maybe I should learn to play some instruments, and and I just sort of started teaching myself keyboards and guitar. And I don't think I've really ever I haven't gotten too much better than maybe like the first couple of years, but I do what I think kind of works for me. I don't know.
Yeah. And did you started only playing guitar and keys, like actually performing on an instrument in your early 20s?
Yeah. The first sort of band that I was in, I was primarily just vocals and horrible. And I'm thankful that the guys that I was playing with were supportive enough to keep me around. and then like the next band that I joined, I actually only played keyboards then for a few years. And,
okay.
And then I started sort of making my own little recordings by myself at some point.
Right. And you've always kind of had a basement studio, or a rehearsal space where most of your creation happens out of?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of, way back when it was just sort of like a little 4-track recorder, a little, spot in the bedroom or whatever. I think I've been in this house since it's like 2014, but I wasn't really making any music at that time. And I started making music again in 2018. So I had this kind of amazing basement setup spot to set everything up and then start playing again and start recording in.
What was that dormant period? Did you recorded a bunch kind of in your 20s and then only restarted again? What was that transition like? What brought you back to it?
Well, I mean, leaving it was sort of my partner and I had a kid, and so I just a lot of my friends that I was playing music with at the time were moving away, and it's just hard to go out. It's still hard to go out. It's like an adult and play shows, and so there was a good period of about 5 years where I barely touched the guitar or made any art or anything. But I was pretty busy. We had started an in-home daycare, and so and we also had bought this house. It was like a lot of just sort of life things came up, and I had taken on running, and then I got injured and I couldn't run, so I kind of was like, I need to do something to keep myself busy in the downtime and
outlet.
Yeah. So I picked up drawing and making collages again, and then I started sort of jamming in the basement. Usually with my kids down here, they'd have like a box of toys spread out, and I'd just be recording. And so like the really early Red Pants stuff, you can kind of hear them in the background of the recordings.
Right. No, it's amazing. And I mean, your daughters are in one of the videos that just came out off of the new record, right? On a Wire.
Oh no, that's actually my friend Jem, who
Okay.
plays and she sings and plays in this band called Vacant Gardens out in California, which is like one of the Glenn Donaldson side projects that he
Right.
does with her. And
Hmm.
I asked her to make. She's made couple of videos for me now, and those are, I believe, her nieces.
Okay.
But
Cool.
my kids have definitely appeared in other videos
Yeah,
throughout
absolutely.
all the music video making. They're
Yeah.
getting to a point where I'm not cool anymore and they don't really want to.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
It's like yeah,
There's
my
a
oldest is
transition there that happens.
yeah, yeah, my oldest is 11 and a half, and they don't like the music that I listen to, and they're on their own path, and I hope
Yep.
that it swings back around at some point and we get to start our family band.
That's right. That's right. That's good planning, you know?
Yeah,
I like to. What was the greatest change when you had kids? Like, vis-a-vis music? Like, like trying to find that time, but like you said, like family and house and just life
I mean,
has an ability to seep in there to our creative processes. How did you strike that balance that you had the time that you needed to start
I,
doing music again? And
it's funny that I'm like, I had time to twiddle my thumbs, but then in reality, you always feel like you never have time to get anything done. So I sometimes I think that the lack of time, because I only have a little bit, like pockets of time here and there, to record or write or make art or whatever. So I
Mhm.
think having them around has made me appreciate that time that I have and take advantage of it.
Right.
And like I said, they're getting older, so they're more off doing their own thing, and now I kind of have a little bit more time. But
Cool.
time is a big thing. It's a big influence on on everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
I have some kids too, and they're getting into their early 20s. So you do get your time back. I will tell you that. I will give you a premonition
yeah,
that it eventually comes back and you have more time than maybe you know what to do with.
yeah.
Um, that's cool. So, tell me a little bit, Jason. Like I've just kind of been going through your Bandcamp, and you have recorded so many songs. I would love to know what's your process to getting a song, um, on tape. What are your steps, and like has the process changed over time, or does it stay pretty much the way it has always been? Like how do you approach songwriting nowadays?
I feel like it's pretty similar to how it's always been. It usually starts with guitar and a keyboard and just kind of jamming and finding some chords that sound good together. If I'm lucky, then I have a bit of time to sit and make up some words on the spot and go from there. I love to when Elsa and I, my drummer and bandmate, when we get together, I love to be able to bring in something new, and that could be just a couple of chords, it could be a full song. But I really like bring in just like some bare bones of an idea and seeing where we go with it.
Right.
And so that's kind of been like the last couple of years is like I'll bring in an idea, we'll jam on it. Then, I take our little, like our kind of recordings, because I tend to record our practices, whatever we do.
Right.
And then I can go home, listen to it and tweak it and write a little bit more. And then next time we get together, there's a better idea of the structure.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's usually always like sort of music first, and then the lyrics are like the last thing to that I can figure out.
Right.
Um, yeah, there have
Yeah.
been times where I'm like, oh, I want to like on the last album, I had an idea where I wanted to write a keyboard song and where it breaks down in the middle with just a shaker and doing bop bops. So I
Hmm.
like wrote this song. I think it was like "See You at the Turnstile." Like I wrote that around it, that idea, and
Okay.
managed to make that happen. Sometimes I give
That's
myself little
cool.
challenges, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That's cool. That's cool. And Did the challenges work out? Like you like the results of what happened with that song?
Yeah, I like that one. That one worked out.
Hmm.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head where I'm sure there are tons like where they don't work out. Or, I'll say we should record everything on this beat up old 4 track, and then we just end up throwing that out the window or something at some point.
Right, right. Lots of casualties on the 4 track floor. And what's your collaboration with Elsa? Like, she's the drummer in Red Pants.
Yeah.
When you bring something to her, like, how do you guys collaborate together when you're doing your jam time together?
Well, I mean, she's a lot more, she has been playing drums since she was a teenager, and so she knows what she's doing. So sometimes me trying to explain what I think I'm doing doesn't
Hmm.
really add up, and we just have to jam it and feel it out, and I don't know, just things come together. Like there's a song on the new album, Witching Hour, like that whole jam section we sort of worked out just like playing that jam session, like the section at the end of the song over and over
Hmm.
again, and just trying to figure out like different little things that I could do. And it's just like one practice where we just really banged it out. I don't know.
Cool.
It's pretty easy going because
Yeah.
I'm older and I'm like in awe of her skills. So,
Mm.
so whatever she brings to the table, I'm like, yes, let's do it. That's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I know that you do, art on this like as well, and your collages in particular are quite stunning. And how do you approach your collage similar to your music, like the assembly of it? Like, let me make a clear question. How do you start the process of your collages that, might become an album cover or, something that you want to, sell to somebody? Like, what makes a good collage?
Oh, man, I don't know. I don't know about that. Like, I don't know how to answer that. I just like I can just pull out a magazine and I just get inspired by what's in there. Um, and I have a pretty large collection of magazines that date back to the 40s and 50s through like the 70s and 80s. And so sometimes it's just, a particular era. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I've been really into the like 1950s National Geographic
Mm-hmm.
issues. Just the color and the way everything was printed is really interesting.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, like, because it's like I feel like it's all chance with collage. It's like depends on what you find.
Right.
So
Right.
I can't. Sometimes I can start out with an idea for the album cover, but then I don't know. It just depends on what I find, like if it's gonna work out or not.
Right. Well, the album cover on your latest, not quite here there yet. I mean, it's stunning. I mean, and I saw a little YouTube clip of you kind of describing the process.
Yeah.
Where is that cover from? It's a
Do I have
book,
it
that
nearby?
you found,
Yeah.
or
So yeah, I took a class, like it's like a book. It was a book sculpture class taught by Holly Chastain, who is one of my all-time favorite collage artists, and
Hmm.
I say that I rip her off all the time, and we've become pretty good internet friends over the last couple of years. And
Hmm.
so I took a class, and in this class she sent us a few books, and we sort of deconstructed it. She does a lot of these things where she like rips pages and kind of makes mountains out of the pages, and then people are walking on the mountains.
Right.
It's really cool
Wow.
stuff. And so that was one of the books. It was some sort of math book,
Hmm.
and I altered it digitally to like take out the title and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
But I just I don't know.
Like,
I love the look of like all the writing, like
yeah,
from
yeah.
from years ago, like that people have done. And so once I had that book, and I was starting to make the album cover that, and then we started to work with Meritorio Records on the album release. Like I was like, oh, like flipping over the vinyl to the back side with the track listing, like if I can line that up, that's going to be amazing. And then I used a lot of pages from the books for like the art for the singles and stuff.
Wow.
So
It's really cool.
yeah,
I love your artwork. I love the cover arts on your records and your EPs, and they're just really, really well done.
thank you.
Yeah. So about this new record. So how did it all begin? Like, how do you go about putting a record together? Were these songs that were kind of like that you had for a while compiling, or was this kind of like a session you did where like the floodgates opened?
It was it was like the longest that we had taken. We had come off of, what was it? 2022, I think we released an album and an EP. But when we were working on like the EP, we were also writing this stuff and recording stuff at the same time. So kind of all of, when maybe it was 20, I don't know. My years are sort of meshing together. But anyway, I'd say we spent like a solid year or so writing stuff. And like I said earlier, I put up microphones on the drums and my guitar, so we're always recording. And so, we might get a take of something. It might be like the fifth take that we've ever done of a song, but it sounds good to me. Right. So, and then I just start layering stuff, and then Elsa would come in and add her vocals. But it was a long process. I think we ended up with about 20 songs, and we chose the 9 or so that I felt were fit together the best. Especially once we were kind of figuring out the side A, side B of the vinyl, and some of the songs. There's a few songs that we were kind of written towards the end of the sessions that we were really just kind of like more excited about than the stuff that we had probably started on the year before, and then that stuff just got kind of put to the side. I don't know what'll happen with it, but yeah.
How are you finding your sounds changing over time?
I mean, I feel like I'm doing the same thing like I've always done. I don't, because I feel like I'm a total amateur when it comes to recording. I do very little as far as stuff with plugins and the computer programming, and I don't know. I think have gotten better at knowing what I like stuff to sound like for us. And Elsa contributed a song for the first time, and I was like so scared to send her the mix, like she was gonna hate it, and it worked out great. She loved it. And
it's a great song. Rock.
Yeah, it's like the best. It's like the best song in the Red Pants Canyon.
I wouldn't go that far, Jason, but I think some of the tunes you pen are like sensational. And what, you got picked up by a label for this record?
Yes.
Is it a new label? Who is it? And like, what did they contribute to the success of this record? Or did they is it all hands off with the label and they kind of let you do what you want to do? Like, what's your relationship with the label itself?
Yeah, so Alvaro from Meritorio, I'm not sure how long they've been around, but they've released a lot of stuff. And, he's been very busy like the last couple of years, especially. And I know this year he's got a lot on his plate. He reached out to me and, he's asked if I would like to work on something with them. And it was literally a few days before I was going to sit down with Elsa and record like all of her vocals for the album. Right. And I was kind of starting to work on, I just thought, I'll do like a little cassette release and, put it up on streaming or whatever. Not a big deal. And, so he reached out and I was like, yeah, I would love to. And they provided all the work with the vinyl. I mean, they let me, it was very hands off as far as designing everything or the sound. Right. Like I sent him the album and he was over the moon excited about it. I'd sent him rough mixes that day, and he was just really, really nice about it and excited. And then they let me design the artwork and like go to town on that, but they handled all the manufacturing, and
Cool.
then they handled PR stuff, which is, as someone that is not a fan of um, promoting themselves,
Hmm.
it's kind of amazing,
Right. They kind of like take up that getting the word out about the record.
Yeah, yep, yeah,
Cool. That's cool. That's a good support to
yeah.
have for sure.
It's yeah, it's an amazing
Yeah.
amazing support system, I think. Yeah.
And is this latest your only record that was put on vinyl? Is this your
Yeah,
first
yep.
that's
This is the first time
wow.
I've been able to release something on vinyl. I've
Amazing.
done like DIY CDs in the past,
Right.
but I never can seem to get rid of the rid of those. And then I don't know. There was kind of like this kind of cassette resurgence whenever I
Yep.
was coming back into things in
Hmm.
2018. So I started a little tape label for a little bit, and then the pandemic kind of squashed that. So I was releasing things on cassette
Okay.
up until this one.
Amazing. Amazing. How does it feel to like hold that vinyl for the first time of your
I
everything, your creation, your
Yeah,
cover, your production. What's
I
that
mean,
feeling like for you?
it was really special. I was just so happy that it turned out the way I had envisioned it, with the cover being able to turn it over and everything lining up and looking good. And
Yeah.
I was pretty worried about, because I didn't, I just was worried that it was my first time using Photoshop, so
Right.
I had to kind of teach myself that, and I was worried that that wasn't going to work out, but it did, and
Amazing.
I was happy that everything sounded good. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I was very
Oh, it
pumped.
sounds amazing. I mean, the chug behind this record is it's almost hypnotic and it just one track leads into the next so lovely. I really think you're on to I don't know, something. It brings back so many memories of so many different bands, but still maintains its uniqueness. It's something like you might not have heard. Particularly your daughters probably never heard anything like this before.
Oh,
So it's really great, really great. And Jason, just to kind of wrap things up again, thanks for joining me. This has been a real treat.
oh,
It's really fun to hear your stories and put a little bit of words behind who you are and what you do. Um, what's 2024 holding for you? What's coming down the pipe with the record and your music, etc.?
yeah. Well, we're playing. I don't know when this will come out, but we're playing one show at the end of March here in Madison, Wisconsin, and then there's talks of maybe another show all the way like next, like at the end of the summer. I just
Cool.
I don't know. I love playing whenever I'm playing, like playing a show, but
Right.
I'm not a fan of staying up super late and staying out. So it has to be kind of special things. Like, we're hoping to play out in Spring Green, Wisconsin, at this really cool venue.
Nice.
Yeah, hopefully that will work out in the fall. But I'm kind of like back into writing mode at this point. We're
Fun.
already
Fun.
talking about like next year having another album out. So writing and recording is probably what the
Awesome.
rest of the year is going to look like, and maybe an occasional pop up show. We might do like a backyard barbecue type thing or something. Those are
Fun.
fun.
Fun. I really like your recordings too. If you guys, you're just live recordings where you just put the camera on and just watch you guys practice. You had a
Oh,
couple of
nice.
those. They're so cool.
Yeah,
You can kind of
usually.
see the process being built too, as like those live streams. Really cool.
Yeah, I don't. I usually throw up like at least a camera on me, just if especially if we're doing something new, and then I can see where my fingers are on the guitar. because I
Right.
because I kind of use funny tunings sometimes, and I have I don't know what the chords are, and
Right.
yeah, that makes it easier. I don't have to remember as much. I can rely on technology.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Well, we got it, so why not use it, right?
Right.
There's a time and a place for everything. So, well, that's great, Jason. Well, all the best. I'm gonna get that vinyl too. I want that vinyl. What color is it?
It was
Is it?
blue. Yeah, like a clear blue.
Ah,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Well, all the best in this record. It's a great one. people out there listen. We'll play a track at the end of this podcast. And all the best with family, music, and finding that balance.
You too.
And we'll talk again one day, I'm sure.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chris.